is Colin Rayner, and I just picked up my 850 Summit Turbo. It was probably one of the toughest choices I ever made in my life for buying a snowmobile. Is it worth it? The extra $2,500 to have a turbo, especially for myself as a sea level rider here in Prince Edward Island. I looked all over the internet, YouTube. I contacted dealers and everyone I could think of to try and see if there was any benefit for me to purchase a turbo riding at sea level. And there just is no information out there. So I went out on a limb and I bought it. And now that I did, I just want to share with you guys my thoughts on whether it's worth it or not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's worth it or it's not worth it, but I will share all the facts that I've learned about it, and you can make your own decision. You know, not all of us are handed a brand new sled a year before anybody else can see what they are and said, here, go ride in Revelstoke free of charge and tell us what you think. Some of us actually got to go through the process of figuring, man, do I spend the extra money or not? You know, we're not all endorsed riders here, so I just want to give a little insight on what I think about it, and I hope it helps somebody make your decision a little bit easier, because I know mine was really tough. I didn't want to cover all the stuff that everybody else covers because that's already on there. I wanted to cover the questions that I myself had before purchasing this machine. I live in Prince Edward Island, so it's pretty flat here. Our highest point is 499 feet. I'll probably never have this snowmobile more than 200 feet on Prince Edward Island. Now I do get off island and I do some riding in Newfoundland, and I get up to about 2,500 to 3,000 feet. So my first question was, is it going to be worth it when I go to Newfoundland? And then even bigger question is there going to be anything worth it in Prince Edward Island at basically sea level? Again, I'm not going to tell you that it's worth it or it's not worth it. I'm just here to tell you what I experienced. I was quite frustrated trying to make my decision because there was no videos available. You know, everybody talks about the 10,000 feet altitude, you know, Revelstoke, all these imaginary places where we all want to ride, but you know, it's only the endorsed riders that get there. We as consumers are sitting here wondering, you know, is it worth it for me in my area? And that was my biggest problem. There was no videos done from BRP to show you know, info like I've listed here today. It was all about, you know, it keeps your power at up to 8,000 feet, and you know, that's great. But if you're like me, not all of us can get to Revelstoke, BC to ride in the big mountains and the 6 feet of powder snow. Some of us are stuck here in Prince Edward Island and can't go anywhere, especially with COVID, and we're stuck on flat ground, and we're wondering if it's worth it or not. If there's another question that you had that I didn't, and I didn't cover it in this video, I didn't answer it, shoot me a comment. I'm going to leave my info to my Instagram page below this, and feel free to send me a message on there and ask me whatever you want. I've been riding this now for a couple days, and I'll be riding it for a few more days, and I'll have lots of more information and input on how it feels, and I really don't mind answering any questions to some of you fellow riders out there that are faced with the same decision that I was faced with. Torque Motorsports in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Holy cow, they're good to deal with. They hooked me up with this brute of a machine, and just the service overall is unbelievable. So if you're anywhere around the Maritime area and you can get yourself to Fredericton Torque Motorsports, do so. You're not going to see any better service than what they give you. That goes with sales, and it goes with parts and the back end service as well. Warranty, just no better guys to deal with than the guys at Torque Motorsports in Fredericton. So highly recommend them. They didn't pay me anything to say that, other than I got a free hat and sweater, but they didn't give me that, so I would say that. I'm just saying, they're good guys, beauties. So go look them up. So the first thing I noticed when I got on this sled was the engagement. I was loading it on the truck, and I got on it to move it, and I pumped the throttle, and I almost threw myself over the handlebars because you're expecting it to move and it doesn't. So I checked the brake and see if the brake was locked, and I checked the belt, and I couldn't understand what was wrong with this machine. Well, I later figured out that this machine engages at 4,400 RPMs. So my last 850 2020 Expert that I had engaged at 3,800. So it was quite a difference. Basically, you feel like you're revving right out just to move around the parking lot. And I don't know why that difference. I'm assuming it's something to do with the turbo, maybe spooling it up to get that seamless effect. But that is the first thing I noticed, is the high engagement RPM. Took it up, I got it out of warm-up mode, and the first shot I give it, right from the beginning, blew my mind. I didn't know why it blew my mind. It just did. I just got off a naturally aspirated 850 like 2 days ago and got on this one, and it literally knocked my socks off. So I spent the rest of the day trying to figure out what knocked my socks off. I knew there was a little more, felt like a little more power there, but according to BRP, there is no extra power at sea level with this turbo. So what is it that done that? So I got into doing what I usually do in PEI. It's about the only thing you can do to have a little bit of fun is wheelies. First thing I noticed when I done that is my rear end was just dancing, and everything else is the same as the previous Expert I was on. The only thing different is the turbo. So I couldn't understand why I couldn't control it. So I got back to looking at some of my GoPro footage from my old Expert, and I realized that I could see on my speedometer my track speed during a wheelie was at about 44, maximum 44 mile an hour. Typically it was running 38 to 40 mile an hour. So I had to look at this one, and as I was doing a wheelie in the exact same snow that I just done wheelies in 2 days ago with my Expert, I was getting a track speed of up to 54 miles an hour. Now, it's only a 10 mile an hour increase, but when you think of it, 10 miles an hour, when you're only starting off at 40 miles an hour, it's a 25% increase in your track speed. That's a huge difference, 25%. And I figured out that that's actually why I was going squirmy, was because my track speed was so much more heavy and so much more fast that I'm literally squirming out of control doing a wheelie. But still, there's no extra horsepower, so why am I getting that extra track speed? So kept on riding, and I started doing some longer pulls. Like I'd get out in a flat field and just punch on it, and I noticed right off the bat that when you punch on it, it seems like there's more of a consistent rise of power. It's very consistent, very seamless. So again, I started trying to think about my last sled I had 2 days ago, and going back and watching some videos, and I watched a video of a little drag race that I done with my 850, and I noticed that at the beginning, the skis come off the ground, and I noticed that as the skis come back down on the ground and the track come back down on the ground, my power level, instead of rising, and you can hear this in the RPMs, my power level goes like this, kind of levels when the track hits the ground. It's like a bog, and then it climbs again as it gets its power. This one, there is no bog. Absolutely no bog. It's a consistent climb right from bottom to top, and right from the time you pull the trigger to the time you end, you are feeling a pull. There is no levels and ups and downs. Absolutely 100% pull right from start to finish. The other thing I started to notice is, I've been waiting all this time. I want to hear that turbo sound. Well, I noticed I wasn't hearing it. So I got to thinking, well, I guess BRP says that they don't allow you any turbo at sea level, so that must be why. So eventually I got into some deeper snow. I wanted to try some deeper snow. We tried wheelies, we tried straight pulls, and now I want to see what it does in some deeper snow on some inclines and just see what happens. Now, the snow we're dealing with today is +8. It's very packy, very heavy snow, and so there is maximum friction. So I got on a little incline and some deep snow. I stopped right at the base. I punched her, and again, the 850 with natural aspiration I was on 2 days ago, especially in this packy, heavy snow, would have done a normal thing, stuck the skis in the air and done a wheelie, but it would have bogged out 100% sure. It still would have overpowered it because they are very powerful machines, but you don't notice it until you get on a turbo. You don't notice the power that you lose on a natural aspiration machine. It was effortless with this one. Didn't matter how deep it was, 4-foot trench behind me in heavy snow. It just powered through it and was absolutely no bog, no drop in the power level, nothing. And for the first time, I heard the of my turbo. So what I figured out from that is, yes, the turbo does function at sea level. It doesn't function to give you more power because it's not there unless you need it. But it's there when you need it. It basically guarantees you 100% power 100% of the time. So you're never going to be in a deep bunch of snow or heavy snow and give it the power or give it the throttle. You're never going to lose that power. It's going to give you 100% all the time. And yes, when you're riding along at sea level, very, very rarely will it ever kick in because it never needs to. But there are some situations under extreme pressure that it does kick in, and it does ensure that you have 100% power 100% of the time. Wheelies are the perfect example. I don't think you can get any more pressure on the track and the belt than doing a wheelie. And this one here, like I said, with the track speed, it just spins 10 miles an hour faster, which is 25% faster under that pressure. And it's the same thing in deep snow. When you get under that pressure in the deep snow, that extra 25% track speed, it felt effortless to pull out of that. Effortless. I'm not talking about small differences where you have to do it 4 or 5 times to really feel the difference. I'm literally talking very noticeable difference. Very, very noticeable. And not only myself, my riding buddy with me, he's got an 850 as well, and he's riding his and he jumps on mine, and he's just like, what a difference. There's a couple other things that I did notice heat-wise. So again, we're in 8-degree weather today, Celsius, and it's packy snow, and there's not really any powder flicking around to keep you cool. A lot of hard pack going on because we haven't had much snow recently, so everything's padded down. And the first thing I noticed after going for a long ride is my heat gauge doesn't move. So if I was on my 850 Expert from a couple days ago, I probably wouldn't even take it out because I would just figure that I couldn't get very far and I'd be heated up. And there's no powder to find to, to get out and spin down and to cool off. It's just basically stay at home because it's going to be too annoying. But with this one here, you will find that they run a little bit hotter. The other ones will run in powder snow about 2 bars of heat. I'm not sure exactly what temperature that is. You get them in decent going, they'll be running pretty consistent around 3 bars. This one here is going to run you at 4 bars, exactly halfway, but it does not move. I went for probably an hour run of nothing but hard pack and the odd time finding a little bit of loose snow, which is again packy snow. And it didn't matter if I was on the hard or in the pack, it stayed consistent at 4 bars halfway. Never ever seen it go above that, no matter what. So I'm not sure what does that, but it was kind of interesting to see that. With the one-piece hood, you don't have your storage up here. It's a little bit of a letdown. That doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the turbo. If you're getting any sled with the one-piece hood, which the Summit X's come with that now, just be aware you're not going to have any storage in your hood at all. Another weird but cool thing that maybe you never noticed or nobody ever showed you is when you stop from any kind of ride, this turbo vent is throwing a pile of heat. So basically when you stop, you can literally put your gloves on there or your goggles or whatever, and I'm looking at this screen right now. I've been talking for 16 minutes. 16 minutes later, and there's still enough heat coming out of there that I can barely hold my hand on it. So you can probably set your gloves and goggles on there for 20 minutes straight, and they'll just be defrosting and warming, and nothing to do with the performance of the machine. It's just kind of cool. Another little quick fact that's pretty interesting. You can literally take and put a sandwich, panini, even a steak in a tinfoil wrap and put it against this and jam it against the muffler. Go for a ride for about 5 minutes and stop, turn it over, go for a ride again for 5 minutes, and you'll pretty much have a medium steak, which is pretty awesome actually. You can do grilled cheese, do anything you want. You just got to get your timing down. But it's pretty cool. There's a lot of heat in there. My opinion is that it was worth the extra money to have this turbo. I thought because of everything that was said that there would be no noticeable difference. Everybody says it doesn't help you at sea level. I'm going to tell you right now that's not true. It does help you at sea level, and it may not help you as much as it does at higher altitudes, but it does help, and it's highly, highly noticeable. Couldn't believe it the first time I got on this, and I'm saying all of this, and I'm still on break-in mode. So I'm not getting all my RPMs. I'm not getting the full potential of this machine, and even now, I am completely blown away with what it does. So to me, it was worth the $3,000 extra. I think it's $2,500, but then you add taxes, about $3,000 extra. To me, it was worth it. To you, I hope you take all my information here and decide for yourself. I hope that some of this info does help you in your decision-making process. It certainly would have helped me if I would have had this video before I placed my order. But I went out on a limb and I bought it. I'm satisfied. I do believe it helps at sea level. I do believe you'll find a difference. I can't tell you anything about the mountains, but if it makes this much difference at sea level, I can't imagine the difference it would make in the higher altitudes. It's an absolute beast of a machine. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Hope I answered some of your questions. And if there's any more questions, just reach out. All right.